Hey everybody, it's Allie, and welcome to our YNR chat for Sunday, October 28th, 2012. The power is out in my house right now, but only in the part of the house where I record YNR chat. Does that figure or what? I was so mad, but hey, I figure, life is gonna hand me lemons and I'm going to make lemon cupcakes. I hope that the audio and the video quality is still good, but I wasn't gonna miss talking about YNR chat just because the universe said I couldn't. The universe said no, you can't do it, and I'm gonna laugh in its face. So it was a pretty good week in YNR. I had to talk about it. Honestly, there was a lot of ups and downs because there were times in the week where there was tears, It started out with huge tear jerkers, but by the end of the week, I think it ended on an up note. There were some smiles. So the week started out with Victor finding out that his home had burnt down. He's lying in the hospital bed after just losing his company, and Nikki's asleep. He reaches over, sees on her phone all of the news reports that the ranch has burnt down. So he puts on his clothes, sneaks out of the hospital, and goes to see his home. It was heartbreaking. Victor wandering around totally helpless, which is something we're not used to seeing Victor as, helpless. The word doesn't really describe him, but he's wandering around helpless among the charred remains of his home. He's had this home for so long. It is him, and now suddenly it's all black and gray, barely recognizable. I was struggling to try to make out what was what. I could see the foyer, the entrance. I could kind of see some of the stairs. Some of the tables and chairs were just flipped over. But I could hardly tell that it was the ranch that I've grown up with. I tell you, it was really hard. I didn't want to watch Monday's show because I knew that that's what was gonna happen, that it was gonna be a tearjerker. Nikki realizes that Victor is gone, and she knows where he went. So she runs out to the ranch, and there they both are, standing in the rubble. And it was weird because I guess I expected it to be more emotional. It was emotional, but Victor had this very reasonable reaction to it all. He was like, it's just a building. The memories are in our hearts. And he was being so rational about the whole thing. And I'm sitting on the other end of the screen going, no, let's burn Sharon at the stake. Burn her! I'm so mad about it. Of course, he doesn't know yet that it was arson like I do. I was crushed. It made me mad on a couple of different levels, especially since we're now just seeing the new executive producer, the new writers coming into the show, and it made me upset that their first order of business was to burn down one of the most iconic sets on the show. It seemed so flippant, and it seemed like the wrong move to make. A first impression upon meeting these new executives, the new people in charge of our beloved YNR, and they're just burning the whole thing down, especially when everyone has been so worried about what direction the show is headed in. So I have to admit, I was so cautious about watching this week's show. There was this memory montage of Victor and Nikki and all of the memories that have happened at the ranch, and they of course played the YNR theme song over this memory montage. And I every time I hear that song, anytime they play the YNR theme song in the show, I cry. It is my cue to cry, and this was no exception. I cannot tell you when the last time I cried like that was. My friends, I wept. I was weeping watching those memories on screen. It was hard. It was really hard. But was really positive. He said that the ranch can be rebuilt right away. He said, yep, it can be rebuilt. And that made me feel a little bit better. And, you know, it's sad. I'm not happy about it. I think there were a million other directions that this could have been taken. But at the same time, I'm going to try to let go because we're just going to have to make new memories. We're going to get a new set, new stuff. And I think that this, in some way, will be representative, I hope, of Victor and Nikki's relationship. I hope it creates a parallel that Nikki and Victor are repairing their relationship the same way they're repairing the house and rebuilding and starting anew. And Victor made a marriage proposal to Nikki as they're standing there in the rubble. He was like, marry me, don't say no, just I want you to marry me for the last time and forever. Oh! Please let this be the last time and forever. I beg of you, YNR, let this be the last time and forever, because that gives me some hope. That gives me something to hold on to. I want Victor and Nikki to settle in to their relationship and just be happy for once. And I'm looking forward to going on that journey with them. I'm looking forward to the rebuild of the ranch, and I thought it was cute this week. Nikki's sitting at the athletic club looking at swatches, and she's trying to figure out which way she wants to go with it. Is it going to be like Tuscan, or is it going to be more contemporary? And it was just very cute because at least it gives her something to get excited about. It'll be nice to see the big reveal of the new ranch. And it was funny that Victor was distracted the entire time she was talking about the remodeling. Of course, redecorating is so like a couple steps down the road. They have to rebuild the place, for crying out loud. Decorating is going to come a little ways down the road, but whatever. I'm happy for Nikki that she's got this project. And Victor, totally distracted, first by Billy and Victoria sitting off on the sideline and his hatred, pure hatred for Billy. But then I think he had on his mind that he really just wants to remarry the woman that he loves. He has lost everything in the blink of an eye, and now he just wants to focus on his family. And he pulls out this ring and shows Nikki, and she's, of course, she's just gasping at its beauty. And I'm thinking, where did Victor get the ring? When did he have time to go get a ring? Surely his drawer of jewels just burnt down. It's burnt to the ground. Where did he get this ring? Maybe he had a fireproof safe. Oh, the view from the top is looking pretty good for old Smiling Jack. He's in control at Newman Enterprises. He's checking out his new office. He's got his nameplate on the door already. I don't know how long he's been there, maybe a day, and he's already got his nameplate on the door. I'm surprised that he didn't just straight up smash Victor's portrait. He took it down from the wall pretty gingerly, and I was totally expecting him to just throw it out the window or kick a hole through it or something, but he was at least somewhat respectful. And now it's time to do the work. He has enjoyed the prize. He got to rub it in, got to take the company and rub it in, kick all of the Newmans out. And now it's time to assemble his team of people that he wants working with him. And one of his first orders of business was to try to entice Neil to come over and be the new CEO at Jabo. And I think in reality, if this were reality, I think Neil would be crazy to take the job. There's no way that working with Jack is going to be easier than working with Catherine. Catherine at least lets Jack do at least lets Neil do what Neil needs to do. Jack is going to be hovering over him. You really want to be in charge of somebody else's family business? Because as I recall, that was the reason that Neil left Newman Enterprises in the first place, was that he was never autonomous. It was always going to be Victor's company, and it's not going to be any different with Jabo and Jack's company. But since this is not reality, I think it's a good move storyline wise. As far as the storyline goes, I think it's where Neil needs to be because it's where the action is, and unfortunately Neil's job at Chancellor just kept him isolated from the action and kept him isolated from the rest of the cast. So I'm glad that he'll be in the business fold from now on. I thought it was weird, the scene between Neil and Catherine, where he pretty much asks her if he should go take this job at Jabo. Catherine guessed it right away. She knew as soon as Jack got control that she was going to try to lure her lead man away, and Neil gave Catherine an opportunity to match the salary, and Catherine decided she's not going to fight to keep Neil, which surprised me a little bit. She kind of just let him go. She said, I'm not going to give you any more money. I'm just going to let you decide where you want to be. If you want to be here, be here. If you want to go, then go. And there was this moment where Neil realized that the reason Catherine was letting him go was kind of because she wanted him to go. And he implied, and she kind of implied, that Catherine wants to come out of retirement and run Chancellor Industries herself. Is that really wise? I mean, she's gotta be, I don't want to be disrespectful, but she certainly must be 75, I want to say. I'm surprised. Can Catherine even really drive anymore? Does she need to be running Chancellor Industries? I mean, at 75, you don't want to get back in the game, do you? Aren't you ready to get out of the game? I just wonder if that's going to be good for her health, for her marriage. Where the hell is Murphy, by the way? I like Catherine being more laid back. I like her being the matchmaker and the wise old owl giving advice to everyone in Genoa City. I don't know if I want to see her getting back in the mix. Surely there are other people that she could have do the job that she could trust. Maybe Kane or Jill. Kane actually is very upset. Kane went to Jack and asked him for the job as CEO of Jabo, and Jack instead told him he had someone else in mind for the job, and that was Neil. And Kane right away started to blame Genevieve for that, because Genevieve and Jack had this tumultuous relationship, and Kane felt that Jack was taking it out on him, the fact, that his mother did that. And I think that might very well be true, but I think it's probably more that Jack wanted to assemble a team of people with experience, and certainly I think that Neil had the experience. Now, just a sideline about Kane and Genevieve. Genevieve just briefly had an encounter with this Samantha impersonator this week, and she right away deduced that it was Colin that is doing this, that had hired the Samantha impersonator. He's the only one that would have had the information, and I think that's an obvious answer, but I kind of don't think it's Colin. The impersonator never revealed that it was Colin. Genevieve just kind of took that as the truth, but I don't know. I mean, Genevieve had offered her money and everything. I don't know. Part of me just says, though, I think it's Jill. Of course, last week I thought it's Tucker, but now I'm wondering if maybe Jill is the one behind this impersonator, because I mean, Jill has a major beef to pick with Genevieve. We know that Jess Walton is coming back to the show, and I just wonder if that's going to be the thing that brings her back in, get her into the fold, as maybe it's revealed that she's the one that's been behind all of this, which I think would be sad because it's kind of evil and horrible, but I don't know. I'm ready for Jill to come back, whether it's with, to help Genevieve usher her right off of the landscape or to become CEO of Chancellor Industries. It's definitely a shakeup. The whole thing is a shakeup. I think it's weird seeing the Abbotts in Victor's office. I don't know if you guys have that reaction. It feels very awkward. And I know that Jack isn't doing anything that Victor or Tucker wouldn't have done, but you know, he's taken a lot of flack from pretty much everyone in his life. And Victor stopped by Jack's new office this week to just, I don't know, I guess tell him that he's gonna go down. Victor's pretending to be Mr. I don't care about business anymore, I'm retiring, and that couldn't be further from the truth. He's just being more sly. It's a more subtle way of manipulating things. But Victor stops by to talk to Jack. Jack pulled no punches right off the bat. Jack said something like, here's your portrait, you can go get it. I've had Connie, or I've had my, no, I think he said Connie. Ooh, I've had Connie box up your things. I was gonna have them send it to your house, but oh yeah, you don't have a house anymore, do ya? Ooh, that hurt. That had to hurt. I can't believe he made that comment. He said, gee, Victor, it's starting to sound like somebody up there doesn't really like ya. But, you know, Victor got his in too. He managed to tell Jack that it's not going to last very long, and, you know, he's right. I think Victor is right to some extent. Jack, his ambition is going to end up getting the best of him, because that's what always ends up happening. And if you look at it, the signs are already there. Everyone in Jack's family is done with him. Jack constantly, so it's amazing how much Jack and Victor don't get along when they're exactly alike. Jack always preaches about how important his family is to him, and virtually everyone in his family has left him. He's done with them. And Victor made the comment that you've spent a lifetime trying to beat me, and now you have, and look where it's gotten you. And Victor had this just a very almost scripted, ceremonious scene where he takes a look at every single one of the pictures that Jack has up on his new desk, and Victor comments on each of the pictures, and he goes on one by one. He was like, you know, your niece Abby hates you, and then he takes the picture and slams it down on the desk. And Ashley, your sweet sister, doesn't want to have anything to do with you. He slams the picture down on the desk. Tracy, she's not running to help you out here, and she hasn't abandoned you yet, but she will. Slams the picture down on the desk. It was almost as if he had practiced it. Like Victor was out in the hall practicing that whole speech. Okay, and I'm gonna talk about Tracy, and then I'm gonna slam it, you know, and rehearsing his lines. It was funny. It was weird though that the only one Victor didn't manage to mention was Billy. And I'm sure that's because Victor knows that Billy is now on the inside. He's the mole, actually on Victor's side, which I know grates Victor that he might actually have to be grateful to Billy for something. But I don't know. I don't know how long that's going to last, because Billy is super paranoid. He really thinks that Jack's gonna figure it out, and he's running in circles. He's trying really hard to cover his steps, and I feel bad for him, because I think that Victoria is manipulating Billy. I think she's using him. I think she's kind of making him feel guilty about what his brother did, and guilty about all the things Billy has done in the past. And I don't know, it's a little bit shameful. I think she's pushing him in that direction that's gonna cause a possible permanent rift in Billy's family. It's a very who do you love more kind of thing. Do you love me more, or do you love Jack more? Whose side are you on? And, you know, it's put him in a very awkward position. Certainly not that she's not been in that position, but Victoria she just wants Daddy's love so bad. She wants to be the one to save Newman Enterprises so that Daddy will love her, and it is pathetic in some ways. I can admire that she wants to lead this charge, but at the same time, I question her motives for doing it, especially when she's had such a tumultuous relationship with Victor. I just think that Jack is going to figure it out sooner or later if Billy doesn't quit first, or if Jack doesn't become incapacitated and unable to run Newman Enterprises, because he's starting to have pain in his spine. He made this very quick recovery from his being shot, and now he's starting to have some problems. The bullet is still lodged in his spine, and all of a sudden he's having pains, and it could cause him to, I'm sure, not be able to walk again, and he is trying to ignore it. He's trying to make it go away because everything else is going so well in his life, and he just doesn't want to go back to where he was. And Jack had one of his very classic visits with John's ghost this week, aka Jack's conscience. John isn't really there. John is that part of Jack's mind that doubts what he's doing. It is Jack's conscience. And John, in quotes, is telling Jack that he needs to go get surgery. He needs to go find out what the problem is, and I'm sure that this surgery is going to be very dangerous, removing a bullet from around his spine, but you can't ignore it forever. It doesn't, I mean, Jack's not hearing it at all. He knows in his better mind that that's what he needs to do, but he doesn't want to focus on that. He just wants to focus on the new stuff, the Newman Enterprises stuff, and he's gonna need someone to help him through this. And I can't help but notice that now, all of a sudden, Phyllis and Jack are starting to flare up their friendship again. Phyllis, her life is over as she has known it. The way she has known her life is no longer. And so she needs a job. She got canned from Restless Style. And so Jack hires her, offers her a job. And there's a part of me that thinks that Phyllis and Jack could be good together. They need each other. They're both little spitfires, and I liked them in the past. I have always been a Phyllis and Jack as a couple fan. It wasn't until she fell in love with Nick that, I kind of got off that train, but they did make a good couple in the past, and I don't know, I think I would like them together if I could believe that she loves him. It's just too bad that she doesn't. Nick has filed for divorce from Phyllis. He's ready to move on. He's ready to be done with her. And of course, Ronan is like waiting at the gate. He can't wait to pounce. He practically has sex with her without ever even touching her. Every time Phyllis and Ronan just have a talking scene together, it's still a sexual spark in the air. It's like he's having eye sex with her. They do. They have chemistry. Certainly can't deny that. I mean, it's obvious that she wants him. I just am not sure that she loves him. That's all. I mean, I want him. I just don't love him right now. That's kind of the story of his life at the moment. But it was interesting because there was a brief moment this week where I thought we were actually getting somewhere. There was actually going to be something new with Ronan, that his character was actually going to have something happen to him besides sex or a case. So Ronan is having lunch at Crimson Lights with this kid, some kid. I think his name was Jamie or something like that. And Summer sees that he's hanging out with this kid, and she approaches Ronan and says something to him like, "Does my mom even know that you have a son?" And I was like, ooh, juicy. Ronan has a son? I just thought that could have been so interesting. But then, of course, Ronan turns around and he says, no, he's just a juvie kid. It's part of a police Big Brother program or something like that. And Summer doesn't believe him. She approaches the kid and steals the poor kid's wallet. Ugh, she is a She is her mother's daughter. You can't deny. Steals the kid's wallet, writes down his information, and she needs to jump on that. I hope she does it soon because I want to know if there's more to this story. Does Ronan have a son and he's just not saying anything about it? I don't know. But I wonder what Phyllis would feel. I wonder if that would be something that she and Ronan could bond over if she knew that. I don't know. He's got so much. Ronan has so many secrets and they're just never revealed. But that's the thing that drives me nuts. It's like Y&R always alludes to Ronan's secrets, but they never give us anything. Maybe we're going to get something soon. Later at Crimson Lights, Phyllis makes a scene, as Phyllis often does. It was Chris and Paul and Heather all sitting around a table talking about Paul's case, and Phyllis tromps in with a copy of Chris's civil suit. Chris has decided to move forward with the civil suit. Apparently, there's no statute of limitations on a civil suit. I didn't know that. I don't know anything about that. All I know is that at this point, I hate Phyllis. She's gloating over Christine, raising her voice, just being so loud, and totally enjoyed ripping up Chris's lawsuit right in front of her. I wanted Chris to jump up over the table and just slit Phyllis's throat. I know that's horrible, but it drives me crazy how Phyllis is so vicious and mean and rude, and Chris just stands there saying nothing. Why do the writers at this point, maybe it's because because Laura Lee Bell is no longer related to the people in charge of Y&R, but why do they let Chris just stand there while Phyllis rips into her? I want to see Chris run Phyllis down. Why doesn't Chris go rent a car and then just plow Phyllis over? That would be at least some just desserts. I mean, I know that's bad. I know that's bad. But at this point, I'm so annoyed with Phyllis. I just don't care if I ever get to hear her annoying voice again. Like, am I the only one? Am I the only one who likes Chris? I mean, and that's on Chris's side? Because, I mean, I know Chris is not terribly exciting, but at least she's not a hideous human being. Then I don't want to see a court case. I don't want to see I don't want to see any more courtrooms, period. But at the same time, I don't like everyone pointing the finger at Chris like she's the bad guy. Paul has got his own problems, but it hurt Chris, and it hurt me a little bit, the way he told Chris that he can't support her in this lawsuit. Why? He says that, she's lost perspective. I don't think so at all. If I were Chris, I would be doing the exact same thing. And I don't understand why everyone is so down on her. Like, are Chris and I the only ones who can see that Phyllis is the guilty one here? Avery is finally getting her time to shine, and I am loving it. I loved last week Avery and Nick's little chess match, and this week she sent Nick a chessboard as a gift and left it outside of his house. It was so cute, and of course it's all about having reasons to contact each other, because as soon as Nick got the gift, he goes to visit Avery, and oops, she's locked outside of her apartment. And she's wet. She wet. I can't remember. She didn't have hot water in her apartment, so she had to use the neighbors, and then she locked herself out because she's such a klutz. It was cute. Nick, popped open her door with a knife and let her in. I like them. I think they have a lot in common, and they sat down and had a conversation, and there was lots of confiding. There was a lot of leaning on each other and identifying with each other. And Nick revealed that, Victor is upset with him for not fighting for the company, but who can blame him? I certainly don't. And it was nice that he had somebody to talk to about that. They had a great talk about not living for other people. because that's something that they both do, living their lives for others, doing what other people want, and fighting other people's battles. And in the end, that route is just exhausting and really unfulfilling. And they're both coming to terms with that, and they're at the cusp of this new point in their life, and it was fun to see them talking to each other and chilling out and relaxing. And of course Phyllis had to bust in on the whole thing. She walks right in, ruins the moment, and it was like she was accusatory with her eyes, like, oh, you guys are spending time together now. And Avery practically jumped out of her seat to run over to Phyllis to tell her that nothing's going on. This isn't what it looks like, which isn't true. If Phyllis had walked in on Avery and Nick having sex, that would have been one thing. That would have been justifiable almost. Like, oh, Nick's just doing that so that he can get back at me for having sex with Ronan. But it's worse than that for Phyllis, because Avery and Nick are connecting. They're falling in love. And I don't know. I like it. And I like the way it's building. I want it to build slow. That's the thing. I'm liking it now, but I do not want to jump into a heavy relationship. I'm tired of the diving into relationships so quickly on this show. I want it to build properly. I want it to happen one step at a time. That's all I'm asking for. And you really have got to hand it to Avery, because at least she's trying to restrain herself. I think Nick wants to be with her right now, but Avery has, a conscience. It's her sister's husband, and she doesn't want to just get all up on him, even though, well, she wants to. She wants to get up on him. Like, she's got Nick on the brain. She can't stop herself from wanting him. And, like, I am loving her Ally McBeal style daydreams. Oh, it's so good. This is good stuff. I love that Y&R is really focusing in on Avery. Like, she wants him, but she's trying to deny herself this relationship, and so she's just daydreaming that Nick shows up at her door and he says to her, do you really want to take this slow? And she's like, no. And then they just crash into each other, and it was so hot because there was she had this daydream where he like does this move where he slams her up against the walls and like put her arms up. It was so hot. I loved it. And then there was another scene. It was a beautiful shot too of Nick and her having sex amongst all of these papers. Like, in reality, she had come home and dropped a bunch of papers on the floor, and then her daydream is like papers flying while Nick is just like wow wow giving it to her good on the floor of her apartment. It was so good. But again, even Phyllis has to invade Avery's dreams. In this daydream, Phyllis shows up and she interrupts. Ugh. I like that that Avery doesn't want to hurt her sister, though. I mean, you really get that sense that she just doesn't want to hurt her sister. And for crying out loud, at least somebody has some integrity here. I mean, I know she slept with him before. But now she's trying to have some integrity, and that's gonna count for something, right? I like it. I like it a lot. Do you guys think, though, that there's any chance that Nick is using Avery to get back at Phyllis? Do you think he's really over Phyllis? Or is there any chance he's just using her? Because I think that when Avery and Nick were together the first time, it was about making Phyllis jealous. I think they both had a let's piss off Phyllis kind of affair. And I don't know. I don't think that that's what it is now, but I just wonder. Because there was a scene where Phyllis goes to visit Nick, and she tries to talk him out of the divorce, and she offers to go undercover at Newman for him, that Jack has offered her a job, and if it's what he wants, she'll go undercover for him. And, he didn't want that. I felt like if he wanted her back, he really could have had her. He stuck firm on no, I don't really need you, I don't really want you, and I'm still planning on divorcing you thing. And even though Phyllis was really like trying to make Nick feel guilty for not giving her a second chance, when, I'm sorry, Phyllis has had so many second chances. He's given you a second chance, and a third, and a fourth, and a fifth, and like uncountable number of chances. And has Phyllis totally forgotten that she was and is sleeping with Ronan? Not just once, she was sleeping with him. Why is that acceptable? Why is that supposed to be forgiven? Because in a relationship, there are a lot of things that I can forgive and forget, but cheating is not one of them. That, to me, that's the ultimate sin. But you know what? They've both cheated on each other. I shouldn't act like that's not the case. And Nick had moved out when she was having sex with Ronan, but it was because of her lies. They were still married. I don't know. Yeah, they both have cheated. I guess I can't chastise Phyllis too much for that, because they both cheated. Nick has cheated plenty in his day, but anyway, it seems like it's over between them. It seems like it was just the last straw. Phyllis is all, I always thought that we'd be back together. I always thought that you'd stand by me, like it's Nick's fault. And it's just not the case. So Phyllis wanders off, and she runs into Ronan. And I'm surprised that she didn't jump right into bed with him. I'm surprised she didn't say, let's go upstairs. But she's really focused on the fact that Summer hates her now. That is her main thing. She wants to try to rebuild the relationship with her daughter. Well, why not just sit down and tell Summer the whole truth? Tell her that you had to make up the lie about Ronan, and then it just spiraled out of control. Be honest with her. Be honest and open with her, and I think that that would take you a long way, because, I think that's really all that Summer wants. That's really all that she wants, is for someone to be open and honest with her, because Summer showed up at Avery's apartment, and she was asking about this emancipation. She wanted Avery to help her get emancipated from her parents. And Avery did a really good job of just talking to her straight. Like saying, do you really think you're ready for this? Do you understand what this means? I'll help you. But she did a good job of putting what it really meant into perspective. And she framed the whole thing with this making cupcakes thing. She was like, yeah, I'll help you, but here, first, I need 2 cups of flour. Like, it was very cute. She, used the cupcakes and the baking as an illustration for life. And I just thought it was really fun, and that was an enjoyable scene, and it got through to Summer, I think. And as soon as Summer left, Avery called Nick to let him know that Summer had been there and what had happened. So, of course, Nick rushes right on over there to have any excuse to be around Avery and to, get a taste of her cupcakes. Let me tell you right now, my friends, Nick wants to eat a whole lot more than her cupcakes. Even Abby is fighting more for Newman Enterprises than Nick is. I was actually kind of touched that she went to Jack this week and offered to give him all of her money, every cent that she has, if he would give Newman Enterprises back to her father. It was, I'm so impressed with Abby now that she's leaving, damn it. But, it was kind of fitting, because it was Abby's lawsuit that caused Victor to have to take the company public in the first place. So Abby was, at least in part, responsible for what has happened now to the company, and she knows that. So, but I like seeing this side of her. I want more Abby now that she's leaving. It's very upsetting. Although there was this scene at Crimson Lights this week with her and Carmine. I had completely forgotten about Carmine. My first reaction was, Carmine's still here? Why is he even still here? I completely forgot about him. I hope he leaves too. Let's keep Abby and get rid of Carmine. He does nothing for me at all. Let's see. there's just was a lot of little storylines that didn't quite fit in to the major ones. But just on a side note, Noah has got some kind of secret. Something happened in New York that this has been going on for a while, but something happened in New York that made him want to come back to Genoa City, and it seems that he had his heart broken. That seems to be all of it, the sum of it right now. But I don't know, I wonder if there's more. New York's a pretty big city. Someone breaks your heart and you need to leave? I don't know. But he's back in Genoa City. He's got his job at the athletic club. He's being a bartender there, which should put him into the middle of the action, which should be good. And Noah had a confrontation with Adam this week. He went to go talk to his mom, and Adam was there. Sharon was like hiding behind a rock. She was hiding in the back room while this confrontation between Noah and Adam went down. And Adam pretty much told Noah how it is that, that everybody's culpable. That's the thing. Everybody's in the Newman family blames everybody else when everybody's culpable for the situation. And I thought, wouldn't it just be so much better, though, if, Noah and Adam became friends and allies rather than enemies? Adam is telling more lies and doing more pushing Chelsea away. It's like I've got a permanent look on my face when it comes to Adam and Chelsea lately. But I'm also saving the best for last because I think this is the best storyline that's happening on the show right now. Adam is focusing more on Sharon than he is on his wife. Just do it with me. Because that's how it feels. I think that's just such the appropriate reaction. I mean, it's more than just a concern for Sharon. It's a caring about Sharon that hasn't been shown in months and months. And I think, honestly, mostly I think it is transference. I think he is focusing on Sharon's problems so that he doesn't have to focus on his own or get in touch with his feelings. And it's hard to watch, I must admit, because he's totally abandoning Chelsea when she needs him the most. And it's easy to be married when things are good. It's much harder to steer when there are troubled waters, and that's exactly where their marriage is right now. Chelsea is left alone in that house, with the huge house, with only her thoughts and worries and fears and yes, hormones and loneliness and her own emotions. And Jeff and Anita are no help. They showed up this week. Anita is gross. She's just gross. And now that the baby's gone, can she just go away too? Because we all know that she was only in it for money or whatever inheritance there was going to be with the kid. And now that there's no heir, can she just disappear? That would be wonderful if she could just dematerialize. I can't stand her. I'm starting to feel so much pity for Chelsea right now. Cause especially, yeah, she lost the baby. Her husband is, but more importantly, her mother and father are disgusting. The fact that she has to deal with them now all on her own is disgusting. Adam is the one that convinced her to try to get more in touch with them, and now he's abandoning her. And Chelsea had to tell Anita and Jeff this week that she lost the baby, and there was this moment where they were looking at her like, why isn't Adam here? Pitying her, and she shouted out, she kind of exclaimed, almost blurted out what I think was so telling, so revealing what was really on her mind. She just said to them, he's not going to leave me just because I lost the baby. And nobody asked her that. It was a moment just where she blurted it out, and it's clearly what she's worried about. That's what's on her mind right now. She's just lost the baby, and she's worried about losing Adam too. And I think it's a very valid point to make that if Chelsea thinks that having a baby is what is going to make Adam love her, then will she be motivated to take Johnny back away from Billy and Victoria? Victoria totally made that connection as soon as she found out about Chelsea's miscarriage, and she runs right over to Chelsea's to do some damage control. Again, so rude. I mean, she painted the whole thing under the guise of, I'm concerned about you. Well, that was not it at all. She was asking Chelsea, can you still have children? And Chelsea said, yeah. He said, the doctor said, as soon as I'm ready, we can still try. And Victoria was like, oh, well, that's so good. I'm so glad. And Chelsea woke up to this bull facade and said to Victoria, you're worried in this time when it should be about me, it's about you. You're worried that I'm going to take Johnny away from you? Don't. However, I mean, I guess I still think Victoria should be worried. I wouldn't have confronted Chelsea if I was her. I would have called the attorney or something to reassure myself. But Victoria is always going to have this paranoia about Chelsea, and it's just getting worse now that Chelsea has now lost her child. So I mean, I understand where Victoria is coming from, and I do think that there's a really good possibility that Chelsea will decide to go after Johnny. I think it's been building toward that for so long, and I'll be surprised if she doesn't. I don't know why they would keep bringing it up if they're not going to go in that direction. But meanwhile, Sharon wakes up from her drunken stupor and Adam shows up, of course, and she sees what happened. Well, at first she wakes up, she goes up to the ranch, she sees what happened, she realizes that it's been burnt down. She's walking around wandering alone again amongst the rubble, and Adam shows up and she acts like she doesn't know what happened. You cannot tell me that you don't remember, Sharon. Gee, Sharon, you got drunk the next day the ranch is burnt down, and you don't remember? That's just stupid. And Adam wants to help her again when he should be home with his wife. He is rescuing Sharon. He has the bright idea. Oh my God, you guys, I cannot believe this. The bright idea to move Sharon into the coach house on his property. He's gonna hide Sharon. It's not safe for Sharon to be in her house anymore, so he's gonna hide her on his and Chelsea's property. Even hiding her from Chelsea. Oh, Adam, back to your old ways. I liked that, you know, we're getting a lot of new sets. All of a sudden, we've got so many new sets. The coach house. Didn't somebody else have a coach house? Maybe I'm confusing it with the pool house, but I feel like somebody else had a coach house recently, but it's really bland and blah. It looks like it's straight out of the 70s, but he's hiding her at his house on his property. He could have sent her to a hotel out of town. He could have sent her to the farm, for crying out loud, but instead he's got her right where he wants her, which is under his thumb, under his watch, right next to him. Just in case he wants her. Seriously, that's exactly what it is. And Sharon loves being taken care of. That's her whole thing in life. She loves being rescued by a man. The plot thickens big time. Finally, Adam goes home to his wife, and Chelsea knows something is up. She's not stupid. She says, like, one con to another, you're lying. Tell me the truth. And she straight up asked him if there was somebody else. And it was horrible. He basically accused her of being paranoid when she was right. She's right. He is being shady, and he totally deflected attention away, trying to make her feel like it was her. Like, she's seeing things that aren't there. She's imagining this. It's her hormones. That was so wrong. It was cruel. Chelsea gets so upset, like, and confused that she runs out, and Sharon runs in. And she scolds Adam right away. She busts in and she's like, that was wrong. You shouldn't do that. I know how this situation feels. And I don't want to be, you know, I know what it's like to reach out to someone and feel that there's a wall there that wasn't there before. And I don't want to be that. And I felt like, wow, Sharon, that's probably the most selfless thing that you've done in a really long time, not wanting to come between them and understanding the situation. And she has this realization that she realizes that she's the one that burned down the freaking ranch, and she wants to go to Victor and confess. And Adam, of course, tells her this is not a good idea, but she's like, look, I just got to do this. I'm not going to implicate you, but I got to go do this. So she runs to Newman Enterprises thinking that Victor is going to be in his office, and Jack's there. And she's like, what's going on? Jack says, have you been out of town living under a rock? What the heck? You know, Victor's not here anymore. I have the company, and quite frankly, I should thank you for that. Thank you for taking the stock. Thank you for allowing me to buy it up cheap. And thank you for selling those last little bits of Victor's personal shares. So not only does Sharon have the realization that she burned down Victor's house, but she cost him and his family the company. What a blow. Like, is this rock bottom? Because I really hope it is. I can't imagine us getting any worse. And just when she realizes this, like, Chelsea comes back to her, like, as this is going on, Chelsea is coming back to the house with Adam, and they have this moment of, okay, you know, in Adam's head, he thinks Sharon's gone, she's gone to confess, and I'm just going to try to get back to my life. And Adam, like, I don't know, though, that's probably not even right, because he like reassured Chelsea, like, we're going to have a dinner, it's just going to be us, just me and you, let's get this back on track. And then he, like, ran out the door. And he shows up at Newman Enterprises to catch Sharon and to tell her, you know, that, you know, to catch her just as she's realizing what happened. And it's like, I mean, for crying out loud, he brings her right back to the house. Like, he's bringing this loose cannon into his life. He takes her back to the coach house, like, and comforts her. Sharon is on the verge of a panic attack pretty much at all times now. She is a complete wreck. There's no way he can trust her. She could run up to the main house at any time and blow open his whole world. He's taking a huge risk, and he has to accept that it's a risk. So it makes me think, at some point, I mean, he says he loves Chelsea. He tells her he loves her, but he maybe kind of wants Chelsea to find out. What does that say, him bringing Sharon back to their home? Maybe that he wants Chelsea to find out so that she'll leave him and he doesn't have to be the one to do it. He doesn't have to be the one to break it off. Ooh. Ooh. Like, poor Chelsea. Oh my gosh. Adam is in the coach house with fugitive-ish Sharon, and he gives her a hug, and Sharon has this realization of, like, I'm all alone, and I've done these horrible things, and she just says to Adam, don't let go. Don't let go. You know, you're hugging me. I need you. Don't let go. So much for not being the wall between Adam and Chelsea. That just flies right out the window. Like, Adam and Sharon are standing there embracing. Adam is holding Sharon when he should be holding his wife. And this is going on while Chelsea is up at the main house preparing for this wonderful evening with her husband. She's got a pretty dress on. She's lighting candles. And he's holding Sharon in his arms. Like, that's all that Chelsea wants. All Chelsea wants is for Adam to just hold her and tell her it's okay. Everything that he's doing with Sharon, she wants that for herself. I cannot, it's become such a web. And I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but during pretty much all of the scenes at Adam and Chelsea's house, there's a clock ticking in the background. That's the only sound on those scenes, just tick, 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 tick. And that tells me Adam and Chelsea's relationship, it's only got a matter of time Okay, you guys, that's taken me to about the end for this week. I hope that the video quality is okay and that you still enjoyed it. I can't wait to hear your feedback. You guys have got to let me know what you think about all this. I think Y&R is good. I was nervous toward the end of last week, but I feel better. I feel reassured now, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. So please feel free to leave me a comment and let me know everything. Air it. Go ahead. I want to hear it. I can't wait. Everybody, have a good week. I love you so much, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you again about next week's show next Sunday. So everybody take care. Mwah. Love ya. Bye.